Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Oumaima. Today's video will be a little bit different than videos I normally do because I usually don't do book hauls. The reason I don't do these types of videos that often, or I don't do book hauls that often, because first, as I said, my reading is mostly digitally. Second, I read between 50 and 70 books a year, so realistically I don't read that many physical copies that I own. And even if I did own that much, I would gravitate towards my phone, reading on my phone, because although it ruins my eyesight, I just gravitate to it for some reason. And the third reason for that is because I've seen this discourse going on online lately about how the book spaces are becoming more like the new fast fashion, as in you see tons of book content creators, instead of doing reviews or talking about the books that they own, or maybe even using the library to get books, tons of book hauls, like buying 50 plus books every book haul, and it's just not really realistic, because realistically we don't have that much time to read all those books, although we want to. And I know that people enjoy that. I enjoy that as well, but I don't want my channel to become like that. So that's why I will only do book hauls once a year, by the end of the year, and then I will talk to you about the books I've accumulated throughout the year, and then tell you if I have read them and what I thought about them if I have read them, and if not, then what a little bit synopsis or stuff like that, so you know what to expect from this video. So the first book I bought, I was about to say read, so no, this is the first book I bought this year, Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I have been looking for Frankenstein by Mary Shelley for a long time, and I could not find it anywhere in any bookstore near me. So when I found this one, I got it, and I read it like a few months ago, I think. It's one of my favorite books right now. By now we all know what Frankenstein's story is. Yeah, this has the best writing I've ever seen. This is the most beautiful prose. As you can see, I have so many post-it notes in here because to be honest, I wanted to highlight every single line in this book. This is not only my favorite classic, but my favorite book, as you will see in my end of the year videos that I will be filming and uploading hopefully very soon. I'm really glad that I read this one. I really want to read everything that Mary Shelley has ever written, because I don't see a lot of people talking about her writing, or at least not for the people that I follow. If you have read anything similar to this book, like in terms of writing style, in terms of the nature imagery, please let me know in the comment section if you have any recommendation that is similar to this. The next book I bought in the same store that I found Frankenstein in is Eugénie Grandet by Balzac. I bought this one, because I wanted to read more in French. I have not read this book yet. I think it's a play. Yeah, it's a play. I know nothing about this book. This edition was published in 1972. I don't know when the first thing came out. I'm sure it's not 1972, but I'm really looking forward to reading this one. Hopefully I will pick it up in the next year, because I have not yet done that yet. The next one I have picked up is Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney. I have this book again. I have been looking for it everywhere. I have read what's the other one called? I have read Normal People by Sally Rooney. I think I gave it 4 stars. I enjoyed it. It's not an all-time favorite, but I did enjoy it. I've also read Conversations with Friends. I also enjoyed that one. But this was the one I was most excited for, because it has a catchy title, it has a beautiful cover. I was most excited for this one, and unfortunately it fell flat. I have read this one, or I attempted to read this one. I think I stopped at like page, chapter 5 or something. No, chapter 6. No. Okay, there are some annotations in here, so I'm sure that I stopped like chapter 10 or something. Like I gave it a good shot, but it just isn't for me. I was completely bored. I did not like the characters. Again, I have already talked about this one in I think it's in some wrap-up. I will link it if you are interested in hear my thoughts. But this was just not it for me, although I really wanted to love this book, because a lot of people love Sally Rooney, and I loved her other books as well, so I was excited for this one. I will still read other Sally Rooney books, but just not this one, and hopefully I like the others better than this one. The next book I have read is a terrifying book for me. and that is A Little Life by Hania Nagihara. I've heard great things about this book. Everyone who has read this book loves this and talks about it highly, and I want to love it as well, but look how thick it is. It's so intimidating, especially because I see that a lot of people say that this is literally torture porn, and you should be in a good mental space to read it, and I'm not currently in a good mental space, and reading this and adding it to things that are going on in my life would not be a good combination. So I'm hoping when I have things under control, then finally I can torture myself with this. But I'm really looking forward to reading it. I know nothing about it. I do not want to read the back of it, although I think the back is just like blurbs from other authors, so I don't think it's gonna spoil anything. But I'm really excited to read this one. I have not got the chance to read it yet, but I will hopefully in 2024. The next book I have read, next book I picked up, not read, is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I have never read anything by Emily Bronte. I have read Jane Eyre a while ago. I want to reread it, which hopefully will be next year because I want to reread a lot of classics. I wanted to read this one in November or October, I wanted to read it for the Game of Thrones, which is the book club or reading challenge that Emma from the channel Emmy and Caroline from the channel Caroline Marie Reads hosts, and each month they read one classic, and then they pick up, for example, two similar classics, one this month and one the other month, and then they would compare these two, for example. I think they read this book in November or December, but I did not pick it up. I didn't have time to pick it up, but I'm looking forward to reading it. And the problem is, this is a Gothic book. A lot of us equate Gothic with fall, and now that it's winter, it's kind of too late to read this book. I know this is silly rule to go by, but like I want to read this when it's fall, and now it's December, so it's not the same. So I'm not gonna read this right now, and hopefully read it next fall in 2024. The next book I read is this one. I'm not gonna tell you what this book is. You might have recognized it when you saw a little bit glimpse of the cover, but this is an author that supports genocide. And although I have bought this book and I have read it earlier this year and I loved it, but I choose to not support this author or any of her works, her and other authors that support genocide as well. So I will not be talking about this author or this book on my channel ever again. Even if you see me talk about it in previous wrap up, I will not be talking about it in my end of the year videos, and I will not be giving this book or this author any screen time from now on, because the least I can do is not support authors that support genocide. So this is a book that I loved, that is unfortunate because it's written by a Zionist author. The next book I have picked up is Electra by Jennifer Saints. I have reread Ariadne by Jennifer Saints this year. It was one of my favorites last year, and I have reread it this year. It's still one of my favorites, so I immediately went out and picked up this one. This is the second book by this author. I don't know anything about this book other than the cover is beautiful, and I think it's based off the Trojan War, because of I don't know where these horses remind me of the Trojan War, not whore. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one. For me, reading Greek mythology is the time for it is in spring, so spring next year I will be reading this one. The next book I have picked up is Three Daughters of Eve by Elif Shafak. This book is a little bit water damaged. When I bought it, it was already water damaged. For some reason, all the copies of this book had so much damage, as you can see from the back. Anyway, I read my first Elif Shafak book earlier this year. I think it was February, and it is one of my favorite books of all time. It's the best book I've ever read in this year, and not the best. One of the best book I've read this year. And I want to pick up more by this author to see if it's like a one shot wonder, or just like if this author works for me. So I picked up Three Daughters of Eve. I'm gonna read you the back of this book. Peri, a wealthy Turkish housewife and mother, is on her way to a dinner party at a seaside mansion in Istanbul when a beggar snatches her handbag As she wrestles to get it back, a photograph falls to the ground, an old Polaroid of three young women and their university professor, a relic from the past, and the love Perry had tried desperately to forget. The photograph takes Perry back to Oxford University as a 19-year-old student sent abroad for the first time, to her dazzling, rebellious professor and his life-changing course on God, to the house she shared with her two best friends, Shireen and Mona, and their arguments about identity, Islam, and feminism, and finally to the scandal that tore them all apart. This sounds extremely interesting. I really want to see the take of Elif Shafak on these topics because they are interesting topics to me, and I'm looking forward to reading this one. Hopefully, Elif Shafak is an author that works for me and not just one of her books. I have not picked this one yet, but I will whenever I have the time. The next book I picked up is Cloud Cuckoo Land by Anthony Doerr. I think this is a historical fiction. This is the author who wrote, don't remember what it was called. I will put it on the screen. That book was very popular. I have not picked it up because I have read enough books about the Holocaust and World War II. I have read way too many. And I think this is also, this is the book I was talking about, All the Lights We Cannot See. It was already here and I just always kept thinking about it. All the Light We Cannot See, and it's that book won the Pulitzer Prize. So I'm really interested in picking this book up. I think it came out last year. I know nothing about it. I should probably put these books somewhere else because they're just reaching my face until they will cover my face. So the next book I have picked up is Dostoevsky, Crime and Punishment. My edition has two sections because it's a big book. A lot of editions have split it into two sections. This is the first section and this is the second one. This is the Arabic translation because it's really difficult to find Russian classics translated into English in where I live. So when I found this Arabic translation, I want to read more. As I said last year, I want to read more in Arabic and in French. And since it's already translated from Russian, I cannot read Russian, unfortunately. So if I'm already reading a translation, why not try Arabic translation? If you have read Arabic translation of Russian literature, let me know which edition is the best because I don't know. If you have read this edition specifically, let me know if it's good, and if you have read any other edition of any Dostoevsky book, let me know which one is best because I'm really interested in reading more about these. The next and final book I have bought this year is The Master and the Margarita by Mikhail Bulgakov. This is another Arabic translation. I have wanted to read this book in English, but I couldn't find it, so I found the Arabic version. I got it. Hopefully it just looks good. I mean, I don't know, it's a translation. I don't know much about this, but I don't know, it sounds interesting. I know Bulgakov is one of a lot of people's favorite authors, and I have never read anything by him, so I'm really excited to read this one. These are all the books that I purchased this year. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I purchased 11 books this year, which is not a lot, basically one book a month, except for a month. Out of the 11 books that I have bought, I have read 3 of these books. That's it. I felt like I have read more than 3. Did I really only read 3? Yeah, only 3, but actually only 2 because one of them I DNF'd it. 2 were favorites, but one I'll be talking about, so basically only this one is a favorite because the other one doesn't exist anymore to me, and to you it should not exist to you as well. And these are all the books I purchased in the year of 2023. And let me know, I'm actually curious, how many books do you usually buy a year, on average? Because I feel like my perception of how many books people buy a year is kind of not really accurate because I watch a lot of booktubers and a little bit of bookstalkers, but not much. And they usually buy 10 books a month, which is a lot. But they usually read a lot of books, so it makes sense why they buy that many books. But I'm really curious, people who aren't book content creators or have other things going on in their life, they have a job or they go to school, how many books do you buy on average? So this is it. I will see you in another video soon, and thank you for watching. Bye.